ඒ සීන් එකෙන් කට් වෙන්න. ඇන්ටිජර් මවුත්වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Hi.
Hi.
Tonight, no escape. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa appoints commissions of inquiry to probe political victimization carried out by state entities as well as malpractices in the ETI holding sell-off. Watching and waiting. Chairman of Asia Securities Dumit Fernando says that foreign investors are keeping an eye out for polls.
From investors that we speak to, I think there is hope. They might wait until the general election. An absolute majority in parliament will be positive.
Tumbling down. More startling names, games and revelations come forth in latest Ranjan Ramanayaka audio recording exposés. Human error. Iranian government admits to accidentally shooting down Ukrainian civilian flight that killed 176 passengers. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Saturday, the 11th of January 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Thamike Kanaya. Let's start with your local stories. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed a 3-member presidential commission to look into victims of political vengeance during the period of 8th of January 2015 to November 16th of last year. Issuing an extraordinary Gazette notification last night, President Rajapaksa appointed another 3-member presidential commission to investigate alleged malpractices at the AdaDerana Trust investment holdings and submit a report within 3 months.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed a 3-member presidential commission with the objective of identifying individuals victimized by political discrimination through the commission to investigate bribery or corruption, the Financial Crimes Investigation Division and the Police Special Investigations Unit. The commission, chaired by retired Supreme Court Judge Upali Aberatna, consists of retired Appeals Court Judge Dayachandra Siri Jayatilaka and retired IGP Chandra Fernando. During the process, attention will fall on state officials, corporation employees, armed forces and police officers who held posts before and after the 2015 presidential and general elections. The commission will also focus its attention on the special unit on anti-corruption activities formed under the purview of the former Prime Minister and its government officials who held or continue to hold office. The commission will also investigate the adverse impacts on the functioning of state institutions due to political victimization, preventing public officials from performing their duties. The report of the Presidential Commission is due to be concluded and presented to the President within a 6-month period. Meanwhile, another trio was appointed by the President to probe into alleged malpractices at AdaDerana Trust investment holdings. The commission, chaired by retired Supreme Court Judge K.T. Chitrasiri, consists of retired Solicitor General Suhada Gamlat and senior banker D.M. Gunasekara. Under the power vested with the commission members can probe the ownership acquisition of EAP Broadcasting Company Limited by a foreign entity and the sale of assets of ETI, violating laws against the purchase of immovable property by foreigners. The report in this regard is expected to be completed within 3 months.
Now, members of the Buddhist clergy today expressed satisfaction over the programs initiated by the President to rebuild the nation and for the upliftment of the Buddhist faith. These remarks were made when President Gotabaya Rajapaksa called on the chief prelates in Kandy today.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic this morning, where he engaged in religious observances. Afterwards, the head of state spoke with devotees present at the temple. Leaving the sacred site, the President called on the Chief Prelate of the Malvatta chapter, Most Venerable Tibetuave Sri Sumangala Thera, at the Malvatta temple. Subsequently, the head of state visited the Asgiriya temple, where he met with the Chief Prelate of the Asgiriya chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Gnanaratana Thera. President Rajapaksa then called on the Chief Prelate of the Ramanya sector, Most Venerable Napane Pemasiri Thera, at the Hurikadwa Vidyasagara Pirivan temple.
ආගමනගා හිටීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙල පිළිබඳව උන්වහන්සේත් අපි හැමදෙනා වහන්සේමත් තෘප්තිමත් භාවයට පත් වෙලා ඉන්නවා කියන එක අපි දැක්කා ඊයේ වුණත් අර විශ්වවිද්‍යාල තරුණයන්ට අඬගාලා අප්පච්චි කෙනෙක් දරුවන්ට කතා කරන්න වගේ උදාර චරිතානාන්තු වසුධෛව කුටුම්බක උදාර චරිතයක් තියෙන එකනට මුළු මහ පොළොවේම පවුල් ඉතින් ඒ විදිහේ සංකල්ප ඇති කරගෙන ක්‍රියා කරන ආකාරයක් අපිට පේනවා.
Later, the President visited the Asgiriya temple and met with Deputy Registrar of the Asgiriya chapter, Venerable Narampanave Ananda Thera. Subsequently, the head of state called on Venerable Kapetiagoda Siri Vimala Thera at the Rajapavanarama temple of Gatambe.
Sunday පස්සේ අපි හැමෝටම කොහොමද බලන්න ඕන තුනෙන් දෙකක් හදාගෙන 19 අයින් කරගන්න ඕන අවශ්‍යයක්
Now, a convention organised by the Young Professionals Association titled A Suitable Parliament for a Winning Country was held in Colombo today. At the event, Chief Incumbent of the Sunetra Devi Pirivan Temple in Papiliana, Professor Madagoda Abheti Sathera, stated that the next parliament should ideally consist of a better class of parliamentarians untainted by corruption who are capable of carrying through the policies of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
The first event in a series of public discourses on the theme of a suitable parliament for a winning country was held in Colombo today.
knowledge based maturity තියෙන වගේ නායකයෝ ලෝකේ එහෙම ගොඩාක් බිහි වෙලා නැහැ. අන්න එවැනි නායකයෙක් තමයි අපිට මේ ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නේ. ඒවා අපි අධ්‍යයනය කරලා බලනකොට රටක ඒ නායකත්වය ඔහුට කරගෙන යන්න නම් ඊළඟට අවශ්‍ය වෙන දේ තමයි පාර්ලිමේන්තුව. අපි දැන් ගිහිල්ලා ආයතනවල වැඩ කරන්න පටන් ගත්ත හමුදාවේ ඉඳලා පළවෙනි වතාවට ගිහිල්ලා සිවිල් ආයතනයක වැඩ කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා. ගිහිල්ලා බලනකොට හරි කනගාටුදායක තත්ත්වයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ තත්ත්වය ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ වැඩ කරන අයගේ වැරද්දටත් වඩා මේ වැඩ කරන්න තියෙන අපහසුතා, නීති රීති, අනපනත් මේ හැම දෙයක්ම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගිහිල්ලා තමයි නැවතිලා අපි හඳුන්නේ. එහෙමනම් ඒ ස්ථානයට අපි නිකන් ඔහේ අටවස් පාස් නැති කණ්ඩායමක් ඇරලා තමන්ගේ බඩ වියත රැක ගන්නට සූදානම් වෙච්ච කණ්ඩායමක් පවණක් ඇරලා අපිට පුළුවන් ද මේ අවශ්‍යතාවය නිශ්චය කරගන්න. 13 වෙනි ව්‍යවස්ථාව ඇතුළු බෙදුම්වාදී ලක්ෂණ සියල්ල නැති නව ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් නිර්මාණය කිරීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙලටයි. ඒකට අලුත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් අවශ්‍යයි. 3/2 බලයක් අවශ්‍යයි. අවංකව සැකයක් තියෙනවා. වාහනම හොයන, කාර්යාලම හොයන, පර්මිට්ම ඉල්ලන, සල්ලිම ඉල්ලන මේ කුණු වෙච්ච දේශපාලනය ඇතුලේ ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා වගේ වැඩේ හරියට කරන්න ඕනේ, හොරකම් කරන්න දෙන්න බෑ, දූෂණය කරන්න දෙන්න බෑ කියන මේ යන ගමනට කොච්චර සහයෝගයක් මේ දේශපාලකයන්ගෙන් ලැබෙයිද කියන එක පිළිබඳව ලොකු සැකයක් මගේ හිතේ තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි දැන් කල යුත්තේ අපි හදාගත්තු නායකයාගේ පන්නේ ඒට ගැළපෙන විදිහේ පිරිවරක් ගොඩනගාගෙන ඉදිරියට යන්නට ඔහු ශක්තිමත් කිරීමයි. ඒ සඳහා දීයු දුන්නා වගේ එකක් මේ දවස්වල වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ තමයි රංජන් කෝලම. ජනාධිපතිතුමනි ඔබට ලොකු අවස්ථාවක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි කරන ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ පිරිසිදු කිරීම සඳහා අවස්ථාවක් සැලසීලා තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට දූෂිත දේශපාලන ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ පිරිසිදු කිරීම සඳහා ඔබතුමාට අවස්ථාවක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මම දකින්නේ මේ සිද්ධිය මේ සමස්තය වෙනස් කරන්න ලැබිච්ච මහා බරපතල ආශිර්වාදයක් හැටියටයි. අපිට ඕනේ අය පත් කරලා දෙන්නේ නැහැනේ නොමිනේෂන්. නොමිනේෂන් දෙන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඕනේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ තෝරලා දෙන අයගෙන් කීප දෙනෙක් තෝරලා යවන්න තමයි අපිට වෙන්නේ. මේ ජනතාව බලාපොරොත්තු කන්දක් තියාගෙනයි මේ පරිවර්තනය සිද්ධ කළේ. අහිංසක මිනිස්සු අද කියන්නේ හාමුදුරනේ. කියන්න ගෝඨාභය මහත්තයාට, කියන්න මහින්ද මහත්තයාට, කියන්න බැසිල් මහත්තයාට හරි මිනිස්සු ටිකක් ඡන්දෙට වන්න කියලා.
State Minister for Technology and Innovation Tilanga Sumathipala says that the time is now to put the country back in order and urged academics and scientists to lend their expertise towards the transformation of the country by supporting the president in policy making and, more importantly, execution, the main reason, in his opinion, for the country's stymied development. He made these comments while addressing an event in Colombo yesterday.
State Minister of Technology and Innovation addressed a gathering of the country's foremost scientific minds recently at the induction ceremony of the 79th President of the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, Professor Janitha Eliyanage.
This association have been producing hundreds of thousands of members who have studied, trying to think of some way of transforming this world into a different place. Here we have an opportunity with a genuine, honest man who is leading our country, who wants to see that happen. All what we have to do is support him. We need top people, professionals who can engage fearlessly and take responsibility to take this country where it deserves to be. If you ask today, anyone is very happy, nobody is happy. Number one, we are not happy that we are achieving anything to the potential that this country can have, our growth. If you look at various countries, all those countries who are doing well now, they have never been equal to us 50 years ago, maybe 70 years ago. For good reasons, bad reasons, we have failed in various aspects. Now it's the time for us to put our house in order. Every rupee we spend, we have to have a reason. So the president of the country is trying to put the house in order. The people we have in this room, all of you all put together, you think we can't take decisions to transform this country? There's no rocket science. There's no magic. We have no problem with the experience, knowledge and the ability. The country to go forward, if there is a vision, the leaders to be taken that vision into reality, we have to execute. Execution is where we are poor at the moment because we don't deploy the right people at the right place. That is exactly what the current government is trying to do. That we can't do it alone. We need your support. Support, not just we are expecting you to vote. The support in spirit, support in every aspect that where you can put everyone together.
Now, in the latest tranche of released audio recordings recovered from MP Ranjan Ramanayaka's collection, several more high-profile figures have emerged, including former Chief of the FCID Ravi Vaidyalankara and former Solicitor General and Director General of the Bribery Commission Dilruksha Dias Wickramasinghe.
කියන්න ඔබතුමා කොහොම මොකද උනේ කියලා.
අනේ මැතිණිය මේ විනාඩි 42ක් හිටියා මෙතන.
කාටද කතා කරේ?
සචින් වාසාවනේ.
මොකද උනේ?
මිනිහා ඉතින් කියන මම රුක්ෂ වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිණිය දන්නවලු මම නිර්දෝෂයි කියලා.
මමනේ යාට විරුද්ධ නඩු දැම්මේ.
ඔව්. යාදන්නවලු මං ජෙනුයින් කියලා මම මුකුත් කළා නෑලු. ඊට පස්සේ හැබැයි මිනිහාගේ පැත්තෙන් බේරෙන එක කියලා මං ඇහුවා කොහෙද මේ සල්ලි? මිනිහා කියනවා තියෙන්නේ
මොකද මට ඒවට ඔක්කොම කියන්න බෑ විස්තර. මම දන්නවා ඒක සල්ලි ටික සුදු කරන්න කළු සල්ලි සුදු කරන්න හැටි ඔක්කොම.
මේකයි මම කියන්නේ දැන් ආපු කට්ටිය සේරම අපේ කට්ටියත් ඒ ට්‍රැප් එකටම අහු වෙලා ඒගොල්ලොත් පත් වෙනවා පත් වෙනානේ මම.
හරිම දුකයි හරිම දුකයි.
මේ මැතිනේ ඔබ මම ගන්න යන්නේ ඔයාගේ කෝල් එක පස්සේ සරජ්ජාමාන්නට පහුගිය ටිකේ දිල්රුක්ෂි වික්‍රමසිංහ දාපු නඩු වලට මේගොල්ලෝ මේ ඩොන්ස්ටන්ට මේගොල්ලෝ ඉල්ලාස් කරගන්නවා. මොකද්ද මම මොකද්ද පිස්සු කියන්නේ. ඇයි නඩු දන්නේ කියලා. ඇත්තට මොකද්ද අර
අනේ මට නම් ඔය ජොන්සන්ගේ නඩුව මේවකට වුණා එළුවත් කවනේ මට හරිම අමාරුයි අර කැරම් නඩුවට මහින්දානන්ද අලුත්ගමගේ ඒක අස් කරගත්තා. අනේ මගේ මට දැන් ඕව මං හිතන්නේ අනේ
මං දැන් මිනිහා මට එක දිගට කෝල් තුනක් කියලා දැන් අරන් තිබුණා.
මම නම් කිව්වා කියලා කියන්න එපා. සරත් ජයමාන කියන්නේ ඉතාමත්ම දක්ෂ ලංකාවේ ඉහළ පෙළේ අපරාධ නිලධාරියෙක්. ඔයා කියන්නේ මට කතා කරා කියලා දැන් කියන්න. ඔයා කියන්නේ මම මේ කියපු දේ. එයාට මට වඩා ගොඩාක් හොඳට වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් කෙනෙක් කිව්වා කියලා කියන්න. ඒක හන්දා මම හිතන්නේ එයාට මොකක් හරි බාහිර බලපෑමක් තියෙනවා. අනිත් එක මම ලිස්ට් කරලා තිබුණානේ නඩු වගේක්. ඒ ටික කිව්වල කරා නම් ඒත් ඇතුලේ වෙන මොකුත් දාන්න ඕනේ. මම කරලා තියෙන නම් ටික දැන් මම.
ඒක තමයි කරලා තියෙන නඩුවක් දාන්නේ. මොකද්ද හේතුව හිතින්?
අනේ මන් දන්නේ අනේ. මම නම් ඔතන හිටියේ අඩු වශයෙන් 225න් 100ක් අතට දාලා තමයි නවතින්නේ.
ආවොත් ස්ට්‍රගල් කළොත් ඔබතුමා දැන් දිගටම ස්ට්‍රගල් කළොත් ඔබතුමී කැමති නේද එන්න? මම දිගට මේ සටන් අතාරින්නේ
නෑ මම ඇත්තටම මං කියන්නම් අනේ මං ඇත්තටම කියන්නම් මගේ ජීවිතේ කරපු ලොකුම දුක තමයි මම ඇත්තටම ඉලාස් කරේ. මොකද මම මගේ අහංකාරකමට මොකද මං හරි මම හරි ආඩම්බර ගෑණියෙක් when it comes to my integrity.
පොඩ්ඩක් ඉඳන් තොපිට මම දෙන්නම් කරකෝල කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් නිහතමානී වෙලා එවෙලේ හිටියානම් අද මු තීරම ඇතුලේනේ
මං එහෙනම් කරද වැඩේ මොකක්ද දන්නවද? සම්පූර්ණම නඩු දාන එක නවත්තනවා අවුරුදු එකමාරකට. කිකිලි විතර ලාලා වගේ එක දිගට 100ටම දානවා එක දවසේ.
මේකට නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක නොවුනොත් මං හිතන්නේ රටේ මිනිස්සු නීතිය අතට ගනී.
In the meantime, several audio recordings of a conversation between UNP MP Ranjan Ramanayake and former chief of the FCID Ravi Vaidyalankara pertaining to the arrest of former Minister Basil Rajapaksa and Johnston Fernando were released to media today by the organisation Sinhale. The conversation is said to have taken place after former Minister Basil Rajapaksa was remanded for 14 days.
Hello, Captain. Congratulations. I'm Ranjan Ramanayake. අනේ thank you අපිට හිතට බොහොම සුවයක් මේ බැසිල් ගැඩි හරි නේද
බැසිල් රෝජ රාජපක්ෂ යන මුදි දිගේකට මොකද තමයි කියන්නේ කියලා හරි කියලා කියනවා
මොකක්ද වලිය
රිපෝට් එක යාළුවෝ
මේ අප දෙයිද කැප්ටන්
නෑ මම දන්නේ අප දෙන්න තියෙන තමයි මේ ලියුවේ මේ ලියන මේ මැජිස්ට්‍රේට්ලා අප දෙනවනේ
ඒකනේ වැඩි මේ බාණ්ඩ කර පොර
මේකනේ ඕගොල්ලෝ මේව කරන්නේත් නෑ මේ
අනික අපි මොකද්ද කරන්නේ ඔබ බයින්න ඕන අධිකරණයට බයින්න පුළුවන් මට පාර්ලිමේන්තු එක ඇතුලේ
අප දුන්නා නම් මට කරවන්න යන්න මගේ මේ මම ෆුල් ට්‍රයි කරන්නේ උදේ නෑ මේ අපට ඉස්සර කරගන්න
ඒකනේ වැඩි අඩු ගානේ මාස 3ක් අඩු ගානේ මාස 6ක් නෙමෙයි ඔයාටයි මටයි තියෙන එක චෝදනාවක් නෙමෙයි හිල් විතරයි ඒක කවුරුකවත් නවත්තන්නේ නෑ ඒක කවුරුකවත් නවත්තන්නෙත් නෑ මාත් කිය මගේ සර් මම කිව්වා සර් මට ඒක ඒ දුර්ලභම තියෙනවා කියලා එයාටත් කිව්වා කමක් නෑ කියලා ඊවසන් එයාටත් තියෙනවානේ.
This is another conversation between the duo.
Hello ඩියජි මාත්‍යා කොහමද මේ හරි සන්තෝෂයි ස්තුති කරන කතා කළේ හරි සන්තෝෂයි මං කිව්වේ කොන්ද රුපියල් ගන්න පුළුවන් 14ක් දැම්මා 14ක් දැම්මනේ ඒක ආයෙ ගන්න පුළුවන් ශේෂාධිකාරියනේ මෙහෙන් ගන්න බෑනේ ආයෙ ගන්න පුළුවන් උඩින් ගන්න බෑ උඩින් විතරයි උඩ අධිකාරියෙන් ගන්න මරු ඇරේ මේ මට මීඩියා එකට පොඩි මේ ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකක් දෙන්න තියෙනවා ආරංචියක් ආවා ගණේගල මේ කැබිනට් පේපර් එකක් හොරෙන් ඊමේල් එකේ යවලා තියෙනවා කියලා අරුට ඒක ඇත්තද මට කොපියක් ගන්න බෑ ඒක මේ ඕකේ මේ පීරිපොත් දුන්නොත් වීඩියෝ පුරාණි මේ මම ඔය දන්නෙත් නෑ දැකලා මට කිදුන්නේ කවුද මම දැන් ෆැක්ස් කරන්න එපා මම එක්කෙනෙක් කියවන්න හොරේ මට දෙන්න ඕක ඒක දුන්නොත් මුං ගා කියනෝනේ මේ ඊමේල් ලුගේ නෙමෙයි ඌ සභාපති නෙමෙයි කියලා මට දැන් අදත් ඕගොල්ලෝ ගැන මම ෆුල් ෆයිට් එකක් දෙනවා මේ CID එක කොහෙද මේ නීති විරෝධීන්නේ නීති අනුකූල වෙන්න ඕන එකක් කැබිනට් අප්‍රූවල් එකකින් හම්බුනේ
පොලිසිය නිලධාරීන් විසින් රටේ නීතියට අනුව වැඩ කරද්දී ඒකම නීතියට දෙන්න කියලා
ආපු නීතිපති කොහොමද අවුලක් නැහැ නේ දයිද
හොඳයි
සුගත ආපු ආවරණ ලක් වෙනවනේ මොකදයි
කොල්ලෙක්නේ
කොරනාර කොල්ලෙක් මේ කවුද රයිට් පිට කවුද අලුතෙන් දාලා දෙන්නේ ඒකට
ලබන සමාන ඉදර දාමු
ජොනියව දාලා ජොනියා හරි කරදරයක්
නේ ඔයා මම ගොඩක් කියන්නේ ඔය දැන් එක එක්කෙනා කියනවනේ ඔය වාජිතලා චතුරලා ඔක්කොම කියනවනේ ආවල් ගානක් කියලා දැක්ක සල්ලි මෙච්චර දැක්ක කියලා ඒ ඔක්කොම ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් ටික කොල කෑල්ලක ලියලා එක ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් එක කොලේක ලියලා මෙහාට එවන්නකො එක ඔය කියන්නේ නැතුව කතා කරත් කොච්චර කතා කරත් වැඩක් නැහැනේ
ඉතින් බොරු ගන්න ඌට කේස් තියෙනවා ඌ යන්නේ නැහනේ වර දිල්රුක් ෂෙන්න කියලා 10 පාරක් මං කතා කරුවම තාම රාජිත යන්නේ නැහැ දැන් ඔය කෝටි 40000 දැක්කා කියලා චතුර කියලා තියෙනෝනේ
ඉතින් චතුර කිව්වනම් ඒක ලියලා එවන්න කියන්නකෝ අපිට මං එන අරක බලලා එවන්න
අනේ කොහොමද එතකොට ඒක
මට පෑ බාගින් කරන කොල්ල එක කාටද කියනකොට කොල්ල එක
ජයවා
This is yet another telephone call recording between MP Ranjan Ramanayake and former FCID chief Ravi Vaidyalankara.
Hello ඩියජි මහත්තයා මේ අද පබ්ලික් ප්‍රොපර්ටි නේද ජොනියා කෑ ගහන වැඩි දාන්න ලොක්කටක් ගාලා මොනවද කරන්නේ දාන්න ඕක ඉල්ල ගහන්න ඕක ඉන්න පාට් එකකින් ඉන්නේ
Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Relations, Ravinath Ari Singh, has stated that the government is currently in discussions with the government of Azerbaijan through the Sri Lankan embassy in Tehran to repatriate the remains of the 3 Sri Lankan students who lost their lives in the tragic fire that broke out at the victim's apartment in Baku. Secretary Ari Singh has stated that the Azeri government is providing its fullest cooperation and acting with sensitivity with regards to the matter. The 3 female Sri Lankan students between 21 and 25 years of age died of smoke inhalation following a fire caused by an electrical short circuit at the apartment that they shared. Two of the victims, 23-year-old Malsha Sandipani and 21-year-old Tarukia Maya, were sisters hailing from Piliyandala. Adding to the tragedy, an aunt of the two victims has reportedly passed away of cardiac arrest upon hearing the tragic news. The third victim, 25-year-old Amodhya Madhuhansi, was a resident of Kaduela. Their bodies have been submitted for forensic medical examinations, while the Azera government has launched a full investigation into the incident. There's more news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, Chairman of Asia Securities Dumit Fernando says the lack of generation in higher growth and higher returns in the equity market prompted foreign investor hesitation. However, Fernando added that investor sentiment is in fact positive, with foreign investors eager to invest in the island but are waiting for political stability in the country brought on by a possible majority government following the upcoming general election. Speaking to Indivari Amwata during our current affairs program at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24, the Asia Securities chairman suggests listing state-owned enterprises, including banks, on the stock exchange, a move that can raise their capital base and make them more competitive.
A lot of expectations. We've been talking about how to develop the capital market, where we'll be in 2020. Are you happy with where our capital markets, the equity market, from currencies to bonds to everything, where we stand today?
We are in a good place, but I think we have a long way to go, and there's a big opportunity in front of us in capital markets, equity markets. We are underperforming in that. We're punching below our weight class. We have strong corporates, strong earnings, hopefully strong policy frameworks coming through with the recent political changes. For many years, we have had an equity market that has not fully represented our economy. So if you look at a lot of our exporters, they're not listed. They're still very much privately owned, family owned. We have some of the largest state-owned companies, like the banks, insurance company, which are not listed, ranging from countries like Singapore to China. They have listed their banks. That doesn't mean government gives up control. It just means that these are listed, which creates better corporate governance, better transparency, but also an ability for these companies to raise capital. What we need in a vibrant market is very actively trading stocks. You can go and list 1,000 small companies, but none of these will actually trade actively. So you need more large companies, not necessarily more companies being listed. And the capacity to list large companies will come from state-owned enterprises, a limited number of them, as well as some very large family and privately held companies. So about 30 years ago, the state banks had about 80% market share of bank assets. Today, they probably have about 35%. So what are the things that it'll take for them to grow faster and be more competitive? One of them is the size of their capital base. It's not possible for the state to keep pumping in equity into these state-owned banks. So we need to find another source of equity, and that should really be coming from private capital.
Although we saw a market reflecting the change of government, the sentiment among investors, we saw market going up. We did not see the same sentiment from foreign investors.
I think there is sort of good news and not so good news. I think the frontier market asset class in equities has been probably slightly out of favor. This has come partly as a result of very good performance in equity markets in developed markets. To attract foreign money is to remember that they have other options. Unlike local capital that is trapped in rupees and they have no choice but to invest in local assets, foreign money always has options. For them, we in Sri Lanka, but also other frontier markets, have to generate higher growth and higher returns. So what has not happened in the last 10 years is that higher growth and higher returns in equity markets. So it's a little bit natural that investors get a little less optimistic about investing in these markets. The more positive news is more specific to Sri Lanka. Right. I think even though we're a little frustrated as well that local positive sentiment has not translated into positive sentiment internationally, generally speaking, from investors that we speak to, I think there is hope, and they're looking forward to coming back because they realize that valuations are still one of the cheapest. If you look at frontier and emerging markets, ourselves and Pakistan are probably the two cheapest markets at the moment. So they are willing to come in. They're waiting for two things. One is to make sure they understand understand the full ramifications of the political change that's going on. In other words, I think they might wait until the general election. The feedback we have got is an absolute majority in Parliament will be positive for markets rather than fragmented coalitions and so on. The second issue is, I think, more clarity on how the fiscal stimulus is ultimately going to be managed and what the outlook will be beyond the first year.
Now, oil fell below $65 a barrel yesterday in its first weekly loss since late November, erasing the week's risk premium added since a US drone strike killed top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani as investors focused on rising US inventories and other signs of ample supply. However, markets were still eyeing the longer-term risks of conflict, and prices were briefly supported yesterday by new US sanctions on Iran in retaliation for its missile attack on US forces in Iraq this week. Also, according to the US Navy's Bahrain-based Fifth Fleet, a Russian Navy ship aggressively approached a US Navy destroyer in the North Arabian Sea on Thursday. Brent crude, the global benchmark, settled at $64.98, down 39 cents. West Texas Intermediate crude fell 52 cents to end at $59.04. For the week, Brent had a 5.3% loss and WTI had a 6.4% decline, with both benchmarks now below where levels were before the US drone strike killed the top Iranian general on the 3rd of January. More news awaits on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Iran has admitted to unintentionally shooting down the Ukrainian passenger jet on Wednesday, killing 176 people, after previously denying the claims from Western leaders that Iran's military played a part in the aircraft's downing. Iran says that the tragedy was an unforgivable mistake caused by human error as the jet turned towards a sensitive site belonging to Iran's military, mistaking it for a hostile aircraft.
The downing of Ukraine International Airlines flight PS752 on Wednesday came just hours after Iran carried out missile strikes on 2 air bases housing US forces in Iraq, which was a response to the killing of senior Iranian commander General Qasem Soleimani in a US drone strike on the 3rd of January. The Ukrainian flight, which was en route to Kyiv, came down near Imam Khomeini Airport shortly after takeoff. Mobile phone footage posted and circulated by ordinary Iranians on Twitter after the crash had indicated that it came down in flames and exploded as it struck the ground. Iran initially denied reports that one of its missiles had brought down the Ukrainian plane near the capital, Tehran. With Western intelligence officials pointing to Iranian involvement, this morning an Iranian military statement read on state TV announced that it had struck flight PS752 with a missile by mistake. It said the plane had turned towards a sensitive military center of the Revolutionary Guards. The statement added that because of heightened tensions with the US, Iran's military was at its highest level of readiness. It went on to say that in such a condition, because of human error and in an unintentional way, the flight was hit. The statement read on television noted that those responsible would be held accountable and prosecuted. Responding to Iran's statement claiming responsibility, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he wanted an official apology and full cooperation with the investigation, demanding those responsible be held to account.
Now, bushfire conditions have eased in Australia after cooler temperatures and rainfall have provided a well-needed respite after strong winds yesterday buffeted fires on the east coast up to the emergency warning level. The previous night was a grueling one for firefighters as a mega blaze at the border between Victoria and New South Wales torched around 600,000 hectares. Authorities say that they expect at least a week of milder weather in which they plan to step up defences against the ongoing blazes. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters marched in several major cities across Australia yesterday, calling upon the government to act on the climate crisis and take more action to stop the bushfires. Police state that more than 30,000 people marched in Sydney alone, with many directing their anger at Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Morrison has faced heavy criticism for what has been labelled a lacklustre response to the fires, his climate policies and his continued support for coal mines. Now, Sultan Qaboos bin Said Al bin Said of Oman, the Arab world's longest-serving ruler, has died at the age of 79. No cause of death has yet been confirmed, while his cousin Haytham bin Tariq Al Said has been sworn in as his successor. Sultan Haytham pledged to continue his predecessor's policies of friendly relations with all nations while further developing the country. A family council had 3 days to choose a successor, as Qaboos had left no heir or publicly designated a successor. Instead, they opted for opening the sealed envelope in which Qaboos had secretly left his own choice. The position of Sultan is considered the paramount decision maker in Oman. The Sultan also holds the positions of Prime Minister, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of Defence, Minister of Finance and Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now, Matilda Carlson made history last week when she qualified for the Summer Olympics, set to be worked off in Tokyo this year, becoming the first Sri Lankan to represent the country at the Games in equestrian sports. The 35-year-old represented Sweden in the 2012 London Olympics but had a change of heart in 2018 and decided to represent her country of origin, Sri Lanka, following a visit to the island. Addressing a media briefing recently, she laid out her expectations at the Games as well as for the sport in Sri Lanka.
I'm very, very excited at this moment. I think I definitely choose the right horse, and I surrounded myself with good people, I hope, that will help me on the way to get to Tokyo and being very well prepared. My goal is definitely to take myself into the final round. Hopefully a medal, of course. For me, definitely the goal is to be on the top 100 on the world ranking. It will be the biggest honor if Sri Lanka will have a show jumping team somewhere in the future. Sri Lanka needs a little bit structure and help from the outside to create this. It's not easy to get 4 riders into a team of an international level, but it would be a dream coming true for me and for sure for Soranjit and also for the country if that is something that could be arranged.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.